everybody, Bitwig Studio 5.2 is in beta, and there's a new compressor, the Compressor Plus, and a few new equalizers as the major new tools. So let's take a quick look at these new great devices. First we have a drum loop that I recorded on my Pearl Master drum kit. So let's take a listen without any processing. I'm gonna turn off the new Sculpt EQ. So let's begin adding the new Sculpt EQ, and it's a kind of emulation of a Pultec equalizer. And we have a little trick with this equalizer, and that is to boost and attenuate the low end region. So let's set it to 60 Hz, do a little bit of boost, but we're going to do that during playback so we can hear what happens to the sound. So we get a lot of power in the low end. And let's also attenuate a little bit at the same time. And that way we get a very tight and punchy low end. So before and after. And let's do a little bit in the high mid-range. 5 kHz, do a little bit of boost to get the smack back into the snare. And then we can do a little bit of attenuation at the high end. Just a little bit like that. So that's a huge difference here, before and after. The boring sound and the punchy sound. Now in the Sculpt EQ here we have 3 different modes. We first have the clean mode, then we have a tube mode and also a transistor mode. So let's listen how they differ. For this drum loop I actually liked the transistor mode the best. So let's continue to the next plugins, and we're gonna solo this little guitar riff. So this is a new distortion plugin called Over, and as you can hear, we can really burn and crunch the sound with some distortion. So that's some really heavy clipping going on. It's always a good practice to go up into the information panel and look at the help menu for the different devices. Tilt the spectrum for clipping, favoring the high end. Yeah, so it's multi-band processing. Right, and I also have a Sculpt EQ on this, but maybe we can just begin by deactivating all the plugins on this specific track. And then go back and activate them one after another. And then we have the new compressor, Compressor Plus, which is actually a multi-band compressor. If we open the expanded view here, we can see that we have these different bands, and we can control the intensity, the threshold for all these different bands, and also the timing. So a lot of options with this new compressor. And it's probably gonna take a while to get used to all the new tools here and all the new options. But I set this to a glue mode. And just adjust these different bands to do a little bit of compression on the different bands. But mainly focusing on the very lows and the low mids here. And the high mids. Right, so after that we have the Delay Plus, which is an old plugin. And a little bit of EQ. So the Focus EQ is a rendition of Meek, I think, the MEQ. And it also has this clean tube and transistor mode. So also some great options to get a great sound. The next sound is also a guitar loop. I think I did the same kind of processing. Yeah, Sculpt over Focus, and then the new Compressor Plus plugin and some delay. Yeah, just some quick guitar loops I recorded with the Gibson Midtown Custom, you can see in the background here. Then we have another track, same kind of processing, but with some Valhalla shimmer at the end. And then we have a shaker and then a bass, which uses the new Over plugin too. So let's solo that. So you get a really ballsy sound with the Over clipper. Yeah, and everything together. Right, so that's a quick look at some of the new plugins in Bitwig 5.2, and of course we will need to do more videos and talk more in detail about these different plugins. But all in all, I feel that this is a really great update version for guitars, bass, and if you want to get crunchy tones with synths and other stuff.